Happy Friday, everyone. We're live. It's AFTV. It's the news. It's a lot of news. And I'm here with Sharoy. How are you, mate?
Really good. Glad to be back.
It's great to have you back, man. It's great to have you back. I think so much goes on. I mean, especially since the last time we saw you. It's actually nice just to catch up on everything. I don't know how much you're going to have to catch up on everything else because there's so much that's happened just today. But it's good to have you back, mate.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back. I'm pretty ready for the season to start, if I'm being honest now.
I was thinking about yesterday.
Keeping up with all of this news and the highs and the lows of all of it, it can get quite taxing. I just want to get back to football now, but let's see.
I was feeling the exact same. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, we popped out to grab lunch and I was just thinking, you know what, I'm ready to see Arsenal again. I don't know if it was just that kind of that quick transfer high you get when the Zinchenko news comes out and you're going, okay, Zinchenko, Vieira, Jesus, some Marquinhos is quite involved. These players that we like, these young players a year older. Okay, let's see what we're about. And again, maybe sparked by transfers, but I do feel like I've had my good month off. I'm ready to see Arsenal play some regular football again.
Yeah, it hit me when I saw Jesus put on that shirt and score in Germany. I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah. Now I want to see how the rest of these new signings bed in. How many more of these new signings are going to be around? Yeah. How many of these players that we thought were going and have now come back from loan are still going to be sticking around? There's a lot of questions to be answered. And that's why I kind of want to see how the squad shapes up from game one.
What did you make of Jesus and his kind of cameo? I know, all the usuals. Nuremberg on a great side, second division German team, whatever, pre-season, but did well.
Yeah, nothing. You can't get carried away because obviously the Premier League opposition that he's going to be playing against is a lot better than what he was up against. But you can compare him to the other Arsenal players who were on the pitch. And I still thought that there was a massive gulf in class because if you're playing against a side that you know isn't as good as your regular opposition, just be a bit arrogant. Take it to them. Just run past them, and if they don't catch you, great. And that's exactly what he did. He could have honestly had 4 or 5.
Yeah, he could have.
In half an hour, just by having that air of arrogance about him and running at them. I liked his chemistry with Nketiah. I don't know how much we'll see it because I think Jesus will start in the Premier League anyway. Let's see what happens in the Europa League or whatever. But yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, and actually, you said something yourself there. Be a bit arrogant, take people on, and it's very easy to say, this team aren't very good, but we were 2-0 down to them. So you want players to show, this is too easy for me. Yeah. Even if it's pre-season, even if you're getting up to scratch or maybe you've got new players you've not kind of, got that chemistry with yet. Okay, fine, but, show what you can do at least. And that was what was impressive by Jesus. But
definitely. And just very quickly on pre-season, I mean, look, there wasn't much optimism around the Manchester United fan base, for example. And they hammer Liverpool, and all of a sudden there's maybe. Yeah. What if? Maybe Ten Hag's got it, and that's all it takes. Yeah. That's all it takes. One little result to say, and it gets the fan base excited for the season to come. It absolutely does.
Well, I was saying the other day when I did the show with Cecil, if you're Man United and Liverpool, you'd rather win that game 4-0 than lose it 4-0. Exactly. And it's not. It doesn't dictate how the season's going to go. But aren't you feeling a little bit better about yourself if you've won that game 4-0 and you've had a good run out and you've impressed your fans that you've come touring with and all that? So yeah, I agree. I think just go and do your thing, even if the opposition isn't quite up to scratch. But listen, they're going to get more of a test, this weekend when they face Everton in Baltimore, and then Orlando, I'm sure, will be a good game, a good occasion. They face Chelsea as well. Hutchinson might play now. I'm joking, he won't. But we will talk about that. That is some of the big news from today. So the sterner test to come. And I can't even remember who were playing in the Emirates Cup. Can you remember?
Seville.
It is Seville.
I think, yeah.
There you go.
Which won't be easy.
No. I mean, Pepe was linked to them. First game will be back at the Emirates. Yeah. But right, let's go into the big news for the day. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of it. Let's start with Hutchinson because he's kind of at the forefront of the title. I wasn't actually who I was going to start with, but I think we may as well go into it. And it's really hard to know, what it must be like for a young player, the opportunities they're going to want to get, where they feel they are in their development compared to where maybe the coaching staff feel or whatever. And opportunities come round and, playing time, finances, all these things are going to be a factor, especially at a young age when you're thinking, there's still that element of doubt. Am I going to, not doubt, they'll all be believing themselves, but are you going to make it? Is this next step right for me? Whatever. He's gone and agreed to move to Chelsea, which I think is a real shame because there was such high hopes for him. What's your kind of initial reaction to the fact that he's left and it's kind of come out of nowhere as well?
I was a bit confused because it's no secret that we've placed great emphasis on youth and bringing academy players through to the first team. And look at the money that we've thrown at Nketiah. Look at how hard we fought to retain Balogun. Yeah. And we're pulling out the stops to keep these guys, right? Saka's now going to be on a bumper contract, deservedly. Smith Rowe's come into the team and played very well. Patino's now been drafted into the first team. We've got Ruel, who suddenly started playing, who I didn't know very much about. I'll hold my hands up. I didn't know very much about him.
Hold my hands up. I knew nothing, and he looked good.
Exactly. So you start to think, well, where did this Hutchinson thing go wrong? Because if he's leaving for minutes, Chelsea's not necessarily the club to go to. Look at how many players they just loan out and go, take care, mate. We're going to buy a Galactico. Yeah. And they had so many players out in the league. So I struggle to think it was down to minutes, because he's probably not going to be starting for them. At which point, from what I read anyway today, it seemed as though we offered him a certain sum of money that wasn't enough, and he got a better sum elsewhere. Now, look, man, who am I to judge? You're a footballer. Your career's limited. The cost of living's gone up. Yeah. If you're going to get a hell of a lot more money elsewhere, and you can still retain that London life, and you're going to a club of that stature, fair play to you and best of luck. I can't say that it's not disappointing, because it's Chelsea, of course, and we did have high hopes for him, but no criticism of the player for making the move.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't come across any kind of reasons being thrown around about why the move or decision was made or anything. But when I try and make sense of it, I'm thinking, well, Chelsea are one of the best clubs in terms of the talent they produce, and one of the worst in terms of actually producing them for their team. Yeah. So you can look at that in two ways. You can say, well, I'm going to be nurtured really great, really well here, and I'm going to get a move at some point, but my future's probably not at Chelsea. So that's one way to look at it. From Chelsea's perspective, maybe it's more, listen, sorry, I feel like I'm being a bit too reductive about Hutchinson's talent here. He's a superb player, which is why we're talking about him, which is why we were so excited about him. But it just doesn't make sense when you see Tomori, Gehi, Conor Gallagher. Okay, he's had loans. Will he get a chance? You don't know. There are some players like Mason Mount have had a chance, but then Abraham has a chance, and then it's sold because Lukaku comes in. So the path isn't always clear for young players at Chelsea. So from that perspective, I don't think he's going to go on and be the what we think he can be at Chelsea, but he might just get that development he wants, which is a shame for Arsenal, because when you look at our squad, we were linked to Rafinha, so clearly there's a conscious effort being made to sign a wide forward or a winger. We've got Bukayo Saka, you've got Martinelli, Smith Rowe, we've just signed Marquinhos. It's hard to see where Hutchinson, who's 18 turning 19, where his natural development to the first team would have come in the next year or two.
Yeah, but because we're saying that he may not have that natural development in the first team at Chelsea, you then kind of have to ask, well, why didn't he feel as though he would develop just by training with our players?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Did he think that
it's a really good
he
point.
just had better players to learn from at Chelsea? Did he? Those are questions that ultimately, if he comes out and explains why he's left, those are questions that I do think we need to look at, because regardless of the fact that he may not have played in the first team here, I think we both agree that he's not going to be playing in the first team there very much.
Well, I would not think he would, yeah.
So he finds himself in a similar position at both. At which point he's left a club that he clearly has some sort of emotional affiliation to. And it may well be because of the quality around him. Yeah. This is me purely speculating, obviously, because I don't know the answers, but that's concerning.
It's a really strange one. I'll be interested to see what people think in the comments. Guna Vettel says, big up James and Sharoy, smash the likes as you come in, people. Guna Vettel, thank you so much, we really, really appreciate it. And Odd Mod there, obviously doing all the admin I should be doing as well. Smash a like on the video if you enjoy all that. There was another comment. Guna Vettel also said, sad to see Hutchinson go, but this happens, you can't keep everyone, wish him all the best, but we've got other quality players coming through. That's true. Balogun, who we did tie down, you then got other players like Flores, Patino. There's quite a few youngsters that we can still get excited about.
Yeah, but I think that sums it up pretty well, because on the flip side, a lot of people are actually quite critical, saying, well, why is Reece Nelson still here? Why is Ainsley still here? So, I mean, that's bang on, and you can't keep everyone, and sometimes you do just have to hedge your bets with some and go all out with others, and ruthlessness is something that we've lacked in recent years.
That is true.
So we can't complain when we are ruthless as well.
Well, that's what Arsenal fans want. They want a team that's ready for the here and now. Yeah. So really and truly, it's very hard to live in a world where you are absolutely convincing Amari Hutchinson that the opportunities he wants are going to be there, while having two top players in every position that's going to go and compete with City and Liverpool. And that's why for me, there's always been a little bit of a myth around Man City in the last year or two. Listen, maybe in 2015, 14 to 18 this was true, but they have 2 players in every position. I actually think they've got 16, 17 that cover the 11 positions really well because they're all versatile, but it means that a Cole Palmer can actually get some minutes when they're 3-4-0 up and Pep goes, yeah, ready to give you the development you need, and Phil Foden can be developed at the right time and at the right pace. So it's a hard one, and if we want the kind of squad that Arsenal fans are talking about wanting, because we could easily say, okay, Pepe's not ready, you know what, Hutchinson will be the backup, that's fine, we'll promote him. But I'm telling you now, I've not heard one Arsenal fan suggest that. I've not heard one Arsenal fan say, no, it's all good, we don't need to spend the money, Hutchinson will develop. No, we will want Rafinha or Gnabry because we want that team to be ready now. So I think that kind of just sums up the whole situation for players at Hutchinson.
Yeah, bang on.
Yeah. Thank you. Jay says Flores is levels ahead right now. Ben says no need to hate the kid, just move on from it. We're not hating him at all. I mean, that might not have been directed to us, to be fair. Paul says I think with Hutchinson, I feel it's about the money, but good luck to him. I'm excited about Zinchenko. He fits the bill and can challenge Tierney. We're going to talk about Zinchenko in a bit. And again, I just want to keep stressing because we're talking about a young player here who's making big decisions. I'm sure you spent a lot of time thinking about as a young player. Well, any player, any age is thinking about them. But you know, I don't want to sort of attach it's because of this or that. We can all speculate, we can have our reasons, but I will reiterate that it's just speculation. And kind of what decisions he made, he will have absolutely made it with the idea that it's what's best for him. From an Arsenal perspective, it's just a real shame because I do want 22 first 11 players and 10 youngsters that are brilliant and can just play when they're ready.
If this was a permanent move to Brentford, we would have probably said, it makes sense. Fair enough.
I think so.
I think everyone would have been a little bit more accepting of it, but it hurts because it's Chelsea.
Yeah.
And it because of the fact that we don't know whether he's going to start or not. We're a bit confused. But as I said, even if it is for the money, fair play to you, mate. Carry on. I'm not going to hate on you for that. Everyone needs to make their own decisions. Yeah, and
as we said, the path isn't completely clear there. But let us know in the comment section, guys. We will come back to it a little bit. We can do a little bit of Q&A at the end of this as well. So just what your thoughts are on it, because I think Arsenal have done well in recent years. There's been a lot of speculation around many youngsters. William Saliba, what's going to happen with him? He went off, had his loans, he's back now, wearing the number 12. We did say it was going to be the number 2 the other day, we got it wrong. Then there's other players like Balogun, who we did get to tie down, Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, who there have been contractual situations and Arsenal have more often than not got their way with it, but this one has gone against us. And I think what hurts, or not hurts, but has taken us back is that's just kind of come out of nowhere. Yeah. It's like, oh, Hutchinson leaving, okay. When we're feeling so good about Zinchenko stuff. Let's talk about Zinchenko. Just quickly, man, how are you feeling about these links?
Incredible.
Yeah, good.
Zinchenko I was reading links about Zinchenko before the Martinez stuff came along. And I thought, what a quality signing. I still am a bit confused as to why, we're clearly reliant upon Edu's Brazilian links and Arteta's City links when it comes to our transfers.
Yep.
There's a massive
free transfers and players who only have a year left and loans and
But I'm not going to sit here and piss and moan about it if it results in us getting players of that quality.
And
then the Martinez stuff came along, and I am not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't have been over the moon if we got him. And I'm not going to slate the player because he's gone to United. I think he'll be a top player. He's a versatile player. He could have addressed, for us, I think, 3 positions.
I think he would.
And I think that's why Arteta wanted to buy him. The same way that you were just talking about City, saying, look, you think they've got 16 or 17, but that's because they've got versatile players. I can't help but think that Arteta likes that, particularly from the centre-back and full-back area, right? So I think that's why we looked at him. And if we did put all our eggs in the Martinez basket and we're now revisiting Zinchenko, sad to say, it probably does mean that we wanted Martinez over Zinchenko, right? And he might have picked us to it, but with the Ten Hag stuff, with Van der Sar knocking about there, there would have had to have been something really horribly wrong with Ten Hag's management for him not to have wanted to go and play for him.
Or Man United, or we sold him some unbelievable project.
Exactly. So when he went, I thought, okay, fine, but we really don't have that long now, and that's one of the areas. There are certain areas that I think we could address, and there are certain that I think we have to address. That's one of them. That's one of them, and I want to get that nailed on pretty quickly. Zinchenko is Premier League proven, clearly diverse. It's no secret that we're trying to replicate the sort of system that he's come from, which is why signings like Jesus makes sense as well.
Agreed.
But get it locked and loaded now, because far too often in this window, it's been Arsenal interested in, Arsenal linked with, Arsenal opening conversations with. Now, Bro, if you're buying a house,
yeah,
and you go on Rightmove,
here we go, yeah,
and you book a viewing,
yeah,
does that mean you're going to buy the house? Does that mean the seller's going to give it to you?
Probably not.
Correct.
Mate.
You need to go and put an offer in,
Yeah,
and then there's a negotiation process. And if you don't,
I'm probably
someone
viewing
goes
a few
up to
houses,
you.
to be fair. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So we can't be that public with negotiation and not be quick. That's what happened with Martinez.
Yes.
It came out. United weren't on the scene, but when they were, they got it done.
Yeah.
What happened with Rafinha? Fair enough, he had his heart set on
Yeah,
Barca,
yeah.
and Chelsea got mugged off a bit as well. We're both just sort of sat there like, ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what happens when these things are drawn out. We have to be decisive, and I hope that those negotiating transfers do realise that, because eventually they're all going to get snapped up. We're going to have to address the position, and you don't want someone who's second rate.
Well, I think Arsenal, in terms of what's getting to the media, and this isn't to diminish what journalists do in terms of working hard to get info from their sources, but Arsenal obviously have a degree of saying what is making its way to the media and what they're sort of comfortable confirming.
I had no idea about Vieira.
Exactly.
Matt Ryan, remember that? I woke up like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just sort of chilling. I was like, Matt Ryan, and I was like, not the Brighton guy, right? It was him. So Arsenal and Edu and Arteta have really liked to work in silence. Remember the whole I'll destroy the leaks and whoever. Yeah, well, he absolutely did. We haven't really seen any of that since.
He did. But then he got Amazon to put a camera in his dressing room, so...
Yeah.
Kind of strange, isn't it?
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Whatever you need. Yeah, whatever you like, honestly. That's a really good point. But with Zinchenko, it doesn't surprise me at all that Ornstein reveals the news, and across today, and this is really the news of the day, more and more has just come out from Charles Watts to other, very reputable journalists who, know their stuff, all coming and saying this is actually quite advanced. There's a sense of real optimism. Simon Collins as well. There's a real sense of optimism can get done. They're not far away on the valuation. There's an understanding of what they both want. Negotiations going smoothly. Even others saying to a point where, like, I think it was in the Daily Mail, I think they said, he's set to complete move. So some people are saying it's that far. Now I don't think it's that far.
All with the club, from what I've read. It looks like fee agreement and so forth, so that you can start negotiating with the player might be there. But I've always been worried since we missed out on top four.
Yeah.
That it's the terms with the player that might be difficult.
Now
that's my worry.
Yeah. Where my fears eased on that is we got Jesus over the line with that top four, and I would have thought that's a tougher deal to do than Zinchenko, and I would think, with having him in the door, knowing Arteta, knowing Jesus, I'm not so worried about personal terms, personally.
You know why I think the Jesus deal may not have been tougher?
Okay.
Because you can go to Jesus and say, you're starting down the middle. It's the position you've always wanted. It's the position you haven't had. You want to be the big man, you'll be the big man. He's obviously come out and said he's not here to be the superstar. Yeah. But with Zinchenko, what's the first thing that people said when we were linked with him? Does he start ahead of Tierney? Does he not?
Yeah.
Where's he going to play? Is he in midfield? Yeah, but Partey's better than him. Is he actually going to displace Xhaka?
Yeah. So
what are you promising Zinchenko? The same way that you promised Jesus a starting role, the main man up top, what he's been craving. Here's the 9, mate. Yeah. That's the thing. Are we then saying, okay, Zinchenko, Tierney's your backup?
Well, this was a question I had. Also, I just noted in my head to come to you with is, do you think there's some sort of promises on the Arsenal side about which position you want to play? Now, I'm just remembering what I was like as a child. Put me in midfield, put me up front, put me where I can score goals and all that. But playing in midfield for Ukraine, playing predominantly as a left back,
where he wants to play.
Yeah, I would think so too. But a lot of the reports are talking as if we couldn't get Lisandro Martinez, so we'll go for Zinchenko. Very different players. Martinez, yes, they could both play left back in midfield, but Martinez is much more defensively minded in that he'll be a left back, but he's very good on the ball, but can play centre back, can maybe play as the holding midfielder as the 6. With Zinchenko, it's more he can play left back, but he'd be very adventurous, he'd get forward, and he could also play in midfield almost as an advanced 8, almost as someone who creates. And there's a Transfer Daily Extra coming out very soon that I did on Zinchenko, and some of his attacking and passing and creative numbers are outstanding, like really up there with some of the best creators in the league. So I would think that there's some sort of promise from Arsenal, like you're going to get minutes in midfield.
Yeah, maybe. And there's been a lot of dialogue whenever we're linked with a player. Does he start? Who does he displace?
Yeah.
But we're in 4 competitions.
Yeah.
We've lacked in depth. People have been banging on him for about a while, right? 5 subs, World Cup. You need quality.
Yeah.
And if you look at, let's look at the fullback position last year, right? It's no secret that Tierney and Tomiyasu were our starting fullbacks. Cedric and Tavares started basically the same amount of games as they did.
I know.
Yeah?
I know.
But the quality drop-off was massive and we complained. So if someone goes up to Zinchenko now and says, all right, look, we weren't even in 4 competitions, but our fullbacks started the same amount, whether they were starting or backup, you're going to get minutes, mate.
Yeah,
you know? It's not a worry. We fall into this trap of thinking, right, we just need a first 11. And no one should be displaced unless they're miles above. But that isn't the way that the game works now.
I know.
Particularly this season. So I have no problem in having a shitload of good players. It's not an issue. I just need to make sure that certain areas are addressed, and that certainly is one of them, because he's capable of playing in those positions at a very high standard. I'd be over the moon if we got him. Get it over the line, please.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to see it done. Deep says, is this confirmed or paper talk, James? Now, he could be referring to the Hutchinson stuff, but both are pretty confirmed. I mean, everything we've said is we're dealing with fact here. Hutchinson is going to Chelsea, and Zinchenko is closing in on a move to Arsenal, so let's hope they happen. Let's have a little look. There were some super chats. Let's see what people say. Miles says, I like Zinchenko, but I feel like he's a jack of all trades. We need a master in one position. I prefer Tielemans and a backup left back. I think there's something in what Miles is saying there, but I think Zinchenko can be a master of one position. Just being a young player in a fantastic Man City team means you've probably got to take what you can get a little bit.
Exactly what Jesus had to do. He clearly wants to play down the middle. He was forced out to the right. But now that he's got his opportunity, hopefully he becomes a master in that position. And Zinchenko might be looking at this opportunity as his to figure out what position he's a master in, or he already knows, and that's the promise that you were alluding to. That's that's how we're gonna sell the project to him.
Yeah, Dave says we submit an official offer for Martinez before any links came out. That's a really good point. That kind of just came out that an offer had been made before everyone heard about it, and Arsenal fans were jokingly saying Chelsea, Man United keep going for our targets, but you know that's the thing. And I remember Gunner Blog saying the reality is a lot of big teams fighting in the same positions or for the same positions are likely going to look for the same players often. So that's why it's best to just keep things quiet. I mean, who knows what would have come out if Vieira had been so public? There might have been other, who else is looking for creative players? It's nicer to do business quietly and then suddenly just be hit with a surprise.
As I said, I'm not as stung about the Martinez one, even though we did perhaps put the bid in first and we were proactive, because we were always behind the 8 ball because of the Ten Hag and Van der Sar links. And in the same vein with Zinchenko, we should be smashing competitors' way because Arteta's trained him before. Yeah, very true. Abdullah, thank you so much for super chat. He's coming from Man United though. Says these are not my words. Says United can watch an overpaid £55 million Martinez flop like other Dutch league players flop in the Premier League. He says Van der Beek, Haller, Depay, and Ziyech. Now Haller actually came from Germany, but you're kind of right about the others. Zinchenko makes more sense. Listen, there have been some fantastic players. I love Dutch players. There have been some fantastic players who have come from the Dutch league. But Abdullah isn't. I think it's more the valuation. I think it's more the 55 million that they're paying for Lisandro Martinez. They knew they'd have to do that when they didn't make Champions League. And don't forget, look, there's levels to this. They didn't make Champions League, but they had a season where the vast majority of their fan base had tuned out a long time ago, and they had Ralph in there airing out the players. The atmosphere around that was very bad. So you're gonna have to pay to bring players in. Whereas since they were coming from second down to where they finished.
It's true. Yeah.
Whereas we were coming from 8th, and we were pretty optimistic until Tottenham sadly ended that optimism at the lane. So selling the project is slightly different, and there are different stages, right? So we can now say, well, look, we've been vindicated to an extent. Look at how the players that we bought bed in. Whereas with United, it is a wholesale reset, and they are going to have to pay.
You're right. Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. Well, not only is it supply and demand, but you're right. It's a situation that they're in. There's going to be a different. Clubs are going to have a different stance for United. We know you're desperate. We know you've got a new manager that you're desperate to show you can back, and that is going to add an extra 5 million or whatever.
And that for them,
and they've got the money. They're rich.
Yeah, of course they do. But that for them is one of those areas where their starting options aren't good enough.
Sure. Yeah.
Whether you want to play him in midfield at centre back or left back, they're all pretty bad.
Yeah. It's a good point. Yeah.
Whereas with us, if we were going to play him at left back, well, Kieran Tierney, I'd love the guy.
Yeah.
And there are fitness concerns, but no concerns about his quality.
Sure, exactly.
If you're going to play him at left centre back, one of my favourite Arsenal players plays in that position.
Yeah, Gabriel. Yeah.
And if you're going to play him in a defensive midfield role, we've been playing Partey in there at times, and he's very good too. So it's not one of those areas where we're like, we absolutely have to strengthen.
Yeah, no, that's a really good
a starting player. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. That orange guy says, we don't have enough versatility though, as we saw at the end of last season with the left back and midfield situation. Yeah, and Zinchenko would go and address a lot of those things. CCR2410 says, great logic and articulation from you two. Big up. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat. Abdullah's back says, why not go for Koeman or Sane? But Bayern got Mane. Gnabry's just signed. Surely their playing time is threatened. Now, Kingsley Coman popped up in my mind the other day, but I don't know how good he's been for Bayern Munich recently. I don't know. I'd have to just go and kind of check in on how he's been the last year. But you go 2 years ago, scored a goal in a Champions League final. Don't take that for granted. But also, he's just always been just a regular and a fantastic player for Bayern Munich, and obviously played under Guardiola for a while there. So, would you like a player like that? Or?
The one out of those two there that really struck me was Sane, because when Sane was at City, I was baffled as to why he was used as a rotational player, because I might have been wrong, but I thought he could have really hit world heights.
Yeah.
I thought he was incredible. Yeah. And when he went, I thought he'd kick on.
Electric. Player that just terrifies you with pace.
Yeah. And he's that type of flair player that I like.
Yeah. I just don't think he's gettable, but otherwise I'm fully with you. Was
that Graham in there?
Was that Graham? Let's have a little look.
I think I saw different Graham.
Different Graham.
Hello, Graham Robb, by the way. I'm not saying that you're...
But let's see, he said, being a Rangers fan, I know that the capability and will to play is unquestionable in Billy Gilmore. So I think the comment section are chatting about other probably young players and all that. Manpreet says, Zinchenko starts ahead of Tierney, in my opinion.
But a great debate to have. We haven't had that debate in the full-back position.
It's great.
And we certainly don't have that debate at the right-back position. We all know who starts there. We can now have that debate in centre-back because Saliba's coming in. Mm-hmm. We can have that debate, amongst the front three as we have been. Is it Smith Rowe?
Yeah.
Is it Martinelli? Mm-hmm. Odegaard at the 10? Does Vieira play in there?
Yeah.
But there are certain positions where we can't have that debate.
I think we've got a lot to learn about. A lot to learn still in this pre-season, which is what's quite exciting. Yeah. Where's Vieira going to be playing? When he gets those first minutes in an Arsenal shirt, what's he going to do? When it comes closer to the start of the season and we start seeing a more first 11 go out, is Eddie Nketiah in it? Zinchenko, if he comes through. I think there's a lot we still are going to find out from Arteta in the coming weeks, and I'm excited about that. Not as much as I'm excited about the new signings, but I'm definitely really intrigued about how that's going to look. Manpreet says, I hope Zinchenko coming does not mean no Tielemans.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. It might well do, but it shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Going back to the signings that I think we have to get.
Yeah.
Right. We need. I would have liked 2 central midfield players, but it looks like we're only going to get 1. That's an absolute must. Mm-hmm. All right. And if we can get someone like Zinchenko, I might understand only getting 1 specialist central midfielder because Zinchenko may play there at times. We certainly need someone who can play at left back and rival Tierney. Mm-hmm. I wanted 2 strikers. It looks like because we've thrown the money at Eddie and Jesus is there, we're now looking for that wide forward goal getter. Yeah. So that wide forward goal getter is exactly who we need to bring in. Those are the 3 players, particularly if these Pepe links are something to go by.
Yeah.
I would hope that those are the 3 that we work on. I would have liked at least one of those to have been done before this American tour, to be honest, because you want to give players time to bed in. We sadly learnt that with Brentford, Chelsea and City at the beginning of last season.
And the last 15 years as well.
Yeah, exactly. But we really do need to get those over the line. It shouldn't be one or the other. And we can't accept that if that's what happens.
Miles is asking, why not a loan move for Jamal Musiala?
Incredible player.
Yeah, top player, because he's a German international.
No one's going to let him go on loan.
Who's letting him go develop at Arsenal? No, he's playing. He's contributing. But top player, and you're right to point him out, Miles, absolutely.
Miles, if you can hook it up, bro, please do.
Yeah. Luke says, James, if we could get only 2 of Zinchenko, Paqueta or Sane, who would you go for? I'd go Zinchenko and Sane because they fill more positions. Yeah. Paqueta's a top player, but Zinchenko can play left back midfield. Sane, obviously, covers across the wings. That was from Lucas Skelton. Thank you very much. Young Gunner says, big up to Sharoy. Good to see you on AFTV. On an AFTV Live, you make great points and well spoken. For Arsenal, Zinchenko and Tielemans make perfect sense.
Thank you so much, man. In the words of Turkish, who's upstairs, love for the love. Means a lot.
No, absolutely, man. I remember when what was your first show, the watch along, and then you did
No, I did Supporters Club.
Oh, was that the first one?
With Chris Hudson,
right? Okay.
Jordan and Turkish, and then my first watch along was the Wolves one where Pepe comes on and turns the game, and I lose my nut on camera.
Yeah,
that was my first watch along.
Yeah. What a first game. I remember saying to you, they're not all like this. 96th minute winners on a Wednesday night or whatever
Incredible.
it was. That was great. KD says, JS, check out ESPN FC about Sane. They said none of the coaches he played under fancied him. No work rate, looks like Ozil when not on his day. I mean, okay, we'll have to look into what people are saying about him. I mean, there was a reason Pep Guardiola was kind of happy to sell him. But the one thing I say about Pep and players moving on from Man City is the easiest thing in the world is just to say, well, if Pep doesn't want him, why do we? All that. Pep has always had a stance, and I think it's really clever from Manchester City. He's always had a stance of, if you don't want to be here anymore, that is cool. You can go. We'll get the fee. We'll get the right fee. We won't price you out of a move. Raheem Sterling and Jesus are worth more than they've gone for. But they also know if they kind of charged any more than that, 60, 70 million, those moves just wouldn't materialise.
But they got it for Bernardo Silva. No sentimentality with that,
yeah.
There are quite a few players that they let go of. But you're bang on about Pep. The way that Pep articulates it is, it isn't, if you don't want to be here, then go. It's, I want my players to be happy.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
I know this sounds it's too sentimental, but it almost comes from a place of love for his players.
Yeah,
it's like, if you want to be happy and there's something better for you, best of luck.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world because I'll bring in Haaland.
Yeah.
So carry on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference. People like that don't have to be sentimental because they can just bring anyone in.
You're so right. They'll have a, what's it called?
It's a conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt, thank you. They'll have a conveyor belt of just shortlisted players that they'll go, okay, Bernardo, we've got the next Bernardo. At Sterling, that's cool. We've got the next plan. Pep's going to reinvent football again, from tiki-taka to the use of wide players to now this positional play where every player is just so gifted on the ball. He'll reinvent football again. And the thing, I think you're right, and it's all part of what feeds into Pep and the belief in him. We're willing to take on every minute little detail you give us. We're willing to run through brick walls for you because we ultimately know that you're going to give us what we want in return, which is success and a way out if we ever decide it's not for us anymore. Exactly. So it's all part of his management style. You are spot on. Adon Pika says, James, so where do you think Arsenal will finish the season with these new signings? I was asked about this on DR Sports, and I had to caveat it by making the point that across all of last season, I don't think you can find me anywhere on camera. Now, it might be somewhere, but I don't think I ever once said on camera or anywhere that I thought Arsenal would get top four. There was always that little part of me that thought, young players, I knew that Tottenham game was coming. I couldn't look past Conte and all that. And I always had my little bit of doubt. But this year, if we get the signings that we are linked with and we're going to have that spend everyone's talking about, I think we can get top four.
It's difficult to judge because not everyone's done their business, right? But just looking at the teams ahead of us, Manchester City have just bought arguably the best striker in the world at this moment in time at that profile. And they've clearly got players coming in. You don't get rid of players of the quality and the numbers that they've gotten rid of. So we're not catching them. Liverpool were already miles ahead of us, and they've now brought in a striker that we wanted, or we wanted last season anyway. There were no concrete links, but we would have said we'd love Nunes. Yeah. Probably not going to catch them. Tottenham, who finished ahead of us, everyone said, well, they don't really have a backup striker if Kane goes. They've now got Richarlison. Conte was like, my fullbacks are crap, get me more. Cemented Jed Spence. Perisic comes with experience. They weren't happy with their midfield options. Bissouma's a massive upgrade. They've improved in every position they wanted to improve in.
Longley as well in.
Exactly.
Another centre-back, left-footed.
Exactly. Chelsea, we knew they were losing Rudiger. We knew they weren't happy with Lukaku. Raheem Sterling, Kimpembe, Koulibaly. I mean, these aren't bad options.
Not at all.
So they've improved. Now, yes, we talk about the players that we're linked with. We can't forget that we finished behind these teams. Yeah. And in the end, with Chelsea anyway, it wasn't even really that close. We were close to Tottenham. We weren't that close to Chelsea by the end of it. We've only really brought in at least one player who definitely starts for us. So being linked to these guys is great, but we do have to get it over the line to even put ourselves in the top four zone. Because
you're right.
Otherwise, the gap remains the same if everyone improves at the same rate as you. That's sadly how it works.
Well, I think my prediction was based off hope. That hope being that first and foremost, Arteta they can't afford to not get top four. Like they can't, or at least win the Europa League. They can't afford to not get this team into the Champions League for the 22-23 season. The backing they've had, the money they've spent, just how far into this project. By the end of next season, it'll be 3.5 years. there's got to be something really tangible for Arsenal fans there. So I think that is one big thing. I also just have this feeling, and I come with stats, and I come
Whenever
with,
you begin with, I also have this feeling.
I know.
Someone's at the ready.
I know. I've been told I need to say things with my chest a little bit more and be a bit more
I'm here for
upfront with stuff. But I just have this feeling, and I'm not going to put a team to it yet, that someone is going to surprise people in terms of not having the season they're expecting. And I just have a feeling like I'm not going to lie, I do think Tottenham will be good. I hate to say it, but I do think there's going to be someone, one of the big guys, whether it's Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, probably not Liverpool, but whether it's just a side that we're thinking, they're nailed on for top 4. They'll definitely be up there. And I just have a feeling they may come I don't know what that's...
All you can do is...
Every season there's one.
Yeah.
I mean, last year Man United were in a title race.
More than one last year.
Fell away.
More than one last year. We were worried about Villa before the season started.
Yeah, very true.
We thought Everton might be, right up our arse in the table. Yeah. Didn't happen. What happened to Leicester?
Yeah.
There were a few of them that didn't happen, but you can't plan that way, man.
No, of course you can't. I just feel like there's always... Sometimes we go into summers and we go into seasons saying, well, that was Arsenal's chance to top 4. They're not going to get it. There's always an opening somewhere. There's always... Every year, that's
have to be well equipped enough to take it. The opening was there last year, and we weren't. And
exactly.
I hope that they still feel. What was telling, and we can move on after this. But this just came to me.
Yeah.
After the Newcastle game, Arteta said, "It's my job as the manager to squeeze the lemon.
Yeah.
Squeeze every last drop." A club Arsenal size should not have one lemon.
It's true.
Yeah? You shouldn't have to squeeze the lemon. You should have a bowl of lemons, bro.
Yeah.
That's what we need. If your job is to squeeze the lemon, you're getting shafted, Mikel. Because managers at clubs of this stature shouldn't have to do that, and that's why no one will have ever heard me say Arteta ought to leave, and I haven't really given their due much stick over the years, and I've been quite patient in that. The FA Cup season, I gave him credit for the FA Cup, but I didn't let the league position reflect on him at all. I said you've now had 2 full seasons. You have to get it right now.
Yeah, guys, let's do some. Well, we want to do a Q&A, so get your questions in. We'll go through them in the last 10 minutes of the show. Still got some other bits of news to talk about. But as you can see, AFTV themselves, us, have put a little comment in the chat. Go check it out, and I'm sure the link's in the description as well. Vote for AFTV as the best fan YouTube channel at the World Soccer Talk Awards 2022. Every vote counts. We would really, really appreciate. Already appreciate all the support we get with comments, super chats, and the fact that there's nearly 5k of you watching these live streams. So yeah, big thank you to all of you. But yeah, do go ahead and vote if you want to. It does mean a lot to us. And of course, merch. The Gabriel Jesus t-shirts are out. Go check them out. shop.aftv.co.uk. Again, links in the description. This week, and it was only last week, we've extended it by a week. Code Jesus will get you 10% off.
This one's looking kind of live,
This is one of them.
Good.
I'm wearing them.
This looks good.
I really should remember that. This is one of them. I got it in black. But there's loads of others. There's navy.
Good.
I think they're only in t-shirts, the Jesus stuff at the moment. They've got men, women's and kids fits, but they haven't got jumpers and hoodies.
It's all right, bro. It's 40 degrees outside on Monday. T-shirts is fine.
That's exactly it. There's a bit of a heat wave here in London. Some red warning or something. I don't know. Anyway, so get your comments in. Let's see what everyone's saying. Yasavi says, other than Gnabry and Benacer, I can't really think of any academy rejects that went on and did great things after leaving us. That's why I'm not that worried. It's a really good point. Obviously relating back to the Hutchinson stuff. Eric's just sending a super chat, so thank you very much. Touch of Awesome says, this guy, Sharoy, brings up points I've never thought about. Made me think a lot on this live. Really good AFTV presenter. Thank you. The way he started it with this guy, I thought, oh no. Do I want to just check what he said before I... No, but Touch of Awesome, big thank you for always supporting the channel, but also for the kind words.
It really means a lot, man, because I'm not a content creator outside of this. I'm just an Arsenal fan who sits there and watches the games just like you. So it really means a lot to know that you guys are... At least it's thought-provoking. That's all I can ask for.
And I may as well take this opportunity to actually mention that, we first talked on a Twitter space. So I was doing these Monday at midnight spaces. This was sort of when the season was going on, and they are going to be making a return for anyone who's watching this who was jumping on and maybe contributed. And I loved it because we did it at midnight. It caught nice times from different people around the world, whether it be guys out in Thailand or China or wherever they are, and then you got Australia, then you got people out in America and wherever, and we got so many different fans, which was just fantastic. And it got us in touch, and I thought you were great, and I invited you on. And these other kind of platforms, I suppose, if you guys want to come on AFTV, like they provide those opportunities, is what I'm saying. So we want to get as many fans on as possible all the time. We've got some amazing technology coming that is going to be getting more of you guys actually interacting with us. You're going to see that all very, very soon. But just interesting to kind of remind everyone of how we kind of got you here. So
thanks for bringing me on.
Always welcome. Could be any of you. So look out for our space and all the stuff we're doing on social media, and Cecil's quiz on Instagram and all that he does with Ty. So yeah, right, let's go into some of the other news. Actually, before I do, there was another super chat. Deep says, should we go for Anthony? Only 22 would be perfect.
Nailed on Man United though, isn't he? I mean, he's another one. I saw a tweet the other day.
Super expensive, isn't he?
Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day where it was like, well, Ten Hag wants all these Ajax players. Why didn't he just stay at Ajax?
But they were linked to Robbery as well. So yeah, another very good point. Miles says, would you be happy with finishing 5th but winning the Europa League? Okay, I was asked this like a month ago, and I'll very quickly just say, would I be happy? Yes, we've won silverware, we're in the Champions League, I would definitely be happy. But would I consider it progress and us moving in the right direction? Look, if you finish on 78 points and everyone else hit over 80, and it's like, what can you do? But no, if it's the same as last season, another 10 to 13 defeats on the board, and every team's kind of really dropped points along the way, and we finish 5th again. Listen, the Europa League can mask actually the real progress. So it really depends on the context for me.
Yeah, the league position for me has always been indicative of how well this project is working and will work.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anyone can win a cup because it's obviously not that easy, but. You can get the luck of the draw, whatever it is. You can get to a final and not have to play many good teams, and you can win. Whereas the league is the ultimate test.
Yeah.
But mate, I'm an Arsenal fan. If we win a trophy, I'm making noise. Of course, I'm happy. We had a horrible league season when we won the FA Cup. I was going berserk when we won the FA Cup.
Yeah, I know. It's true.
I'm human. So yeah, I mean, I can't say I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
I perhaps shouldn't be happy, but I certainly would be.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It raises a good debate. But listen, let's cross that when we come to it. If we come to it.
Yeah.
KD says, we need top 4 in a cup this season. Also a team with style of play and solid. Not give away goals in games that we shouldn't. Earn respect as a top club. Yeah, I think we need to definitely start really. I want the narrative around Arsenal to change this season. Not just, listen, last season, there's something quite nice about not just, you're finishing 8th, Arsenal rubbish, club in decline, form a big club. Actually something about, okay, the young players are really good. There's something there. There's something for Arteta to build on. The fans are on side. There was a lot of stuff around last season I actually enjoyed, despite kind of how it ended. I want this season to start to kick on and build into the, okay, Arsenal look like they could be serious in a year or two. And if we start sending those messages, I'll start believing that the progress is actually consistent and it is moving forward. We didn't just hit the ceiling.
It's what we've been told. This isn't going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
This is going to be incremental. For us to believe that, it has to be incremental. One thing last season, there was a period of time where I thought the Emirates was a very difficult place to come, even for teams like Liverpool and City. And that was, remember how City celebrated when they got that last minute winner? It clearly wasn't, this is an Arsenal we could walk over.
Exactly.
So you're right, we are getting there.
Yeah.
But there's work to be done, and the only way that work is going to be done is by bringing in the right personnel now.
Yeah, I completely agree. 4711 as 1990 says, why is it that AFTV and this fan base think every linked player is a world beater? The marquee signing is a City reject. Zinchenko, one of the most creative in the league, lol, is bang average. Worldy, question mark.
Did we say he was a worldie?
Well, let's address all of those. Why is it that AFTV, we're just 2 people, we don't necessarily just represent all of AFTV, everyone has different opinions, and this fan base, I mean, I don't know what others are saying in the comments with there, think that every player's a world beater. I don't think we've said any of them are world beaters, to be fair. Marquee signing is a City reject.
He played for City last year, didn't he? I mean,
he played in the Real Madrid semi-finals. He played against Liverpool, scored in one game, assisted in the other at Anfield. So I wouldn't call him a reject, to be fair.
Jesus, don't forget, Jesus in all the big crunch games, even in the Champions League, Jesus starts for Pep.
Exactly.
He isn't a rotational player in those games.
Yeah, he's put Zinchenko brackets one of the most creative in the league. And I said some of his creative numbers are up there with some of them in the league. And then he says, is bang average. So we've addressed most things there. Everyone says sometimes we only just read super chats. Sometimes it's nice to dip in the comments and see what some of you are saying. And we don't mind criticism, guys. We don't mind a bit of banter and back and forth, but get the facts right. Let's go into another bit of news before we go into the Q&A. Arsenal are in for a winger. That's very vague news because Romano was saying on, I think it was K Golasso Pod, but I will double check, that he expects Arsenal to make a move for a winger in the coming days. Now, I honestly don't think you come out and say that. When you couple it with what he said a week ago, where he said, there's a name, but I want to double check. He was suggesting something's going on, but we just don't know who yet. And he keeps saying that Arsenal do are very, very quiet and very private. Something's happening in the background. I mean, we know it is, but it's nice to kind of have it semi-confirmed. Like, listen, something's going to be happening in the coming days. Maybe keep an eye on the news.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me that also coincides with the Pepe links to Seville. And as I said, I wanted 2 strikers. I wanted a plan B striker. I wanted someone who we could just lump the ball up to, or who could get on the end of crosses if our football isn't working. It doesn't look like Arteta wants to go that way. He's a Premier League manager. I'm not. Carry on, mate.
Yeah.
But that's why the goal-scoring winger does make sense. We know, sadly, Serge has signed elsewhere.
Yeah.
We know Rafinha's gone to the club that he always wanted to go to and probably always was going to go to.
Yeah.
I can't think of who it might be, and I don't know if there's any point in us sitting here trying to guess of who it is, but I hope it is someone that excites us, because...
I can't think, you just said no point us guessing. I can't think, I bet it's this guy. I have no idea.
Exactly. And what Robbie and Stricto yesterday on this show were talking about how we've had some good signings, but we haven't necessarily had that marquee signing where everyone just goes, rah, Arsenal just bought him.
Yep.
And I would love for this winger to be that calibre of signing, because we've done the sensible signings and we're gonna hopefully continue to do the sensible stuff. But I would love that one where the fans just start having a bit of chest with other clubs and saying, yeah, we got him. That we didn't have last season. We didn't do anything in January.
Yeah.
The fans deserve that this year.
I agree. SQHY says Mark Albrighton. Throwaway says, James, where do you want to see us finishing with our current squad depth? Yeah, that's obviously different to kind of how I was addressing it before. 5th or 6th.
Outside the top 4.
We could win the Europa League with this current squad, but I don't think get top 4. I'm kind of basing it on the hope that we actually get some of those players we're linked with over the line. NCR's asking, could it be Elise? Ritvik says Diaby. Leroy Sané's coming up a lot. Yoik says Diaby or Sané. Quite a few coming through. Ephraim says no good signings since Ozil and Alexis. I don't think that's fair, but I think
that comes from what I was talking about the sentiment of a signing, and to that extent, I agree. We've made good signings since. I think I look at Ozil, Sanchez, and Aubameyang as the standout signings of the Emirates era. Like when we got them, I thought, like these guys could play for anyone. And when they came in at least for a season, they were something special, man.
Yeah. No, it's true. Denzel says Austin Trusty. Kevin Latino says Respecto. But that's why I mentioned him. Very, very true. You're right. It's kind of pointless speculating. But what he did go on and say as well is that. While looking for a wide forward, talks with Bukayo Saka are progressing. He believes in the project and there's a confidence that he will sign a new deal at Arsenal. Great to hear. I'm very focused on incomings. Other people are concerned about Martinelli, Saliba, Saka. I will be on September 1st. I'm not today. At the moment, I'm just focused on incomings, and I do think they're all pretty committed to the Arsenal.
That's because we're fans. We're not technical directors. But the technical director's job is to be concerned about outgoings, retaining your best players, and bringing players in. That's what this guy and that team gets paid for. All too often, we've said, well, why didn't you address that? Why didn't you get them to sign a new contract? We're not in a position where we can let something slip now. And I guarantee you, Saka will sign a contract, but there will be a semi-realistic release clause in there. Because that guy knows he's too good to be knocking about if we're not in the top 4 for the next couple of years.
It's a really good point.
Right, so he'll say, I'll stick around and you'll get value for me, but look, you promised me a lot. You promised me a project. I love this club, but I also have a career and a finite period of time that I can play. And that's what's going to happen.
That's a really good point. Mon says, this sounds stupid, but Neymar springs to mind. PSG are quoting 50 million. Look, I get what you're saying. I just think won't come to Arsenal without Champions League. Probably wouldn't come to Arsenal anyway. And wages, all that. Like,
I mean, we're never going to pay his wages. We're never going to pay it, and certainly not the kind of mould that Arteta's looked for. Not just in terms of age, but ego.
Just no in a million ways. But Suale says Felix would be good. Would a woe? I think it means would be good. João Felix, good player. Deep says, Sharoy, do you have a player that would excite you? That's a great question. We're talking about, is there a player that you think?
The one that, me being the idiot optimistic Arsenal fan, that I thought would come in quietly was Gnabry.
Okay.
Even though there were no concrete links, I just thought that something may have been going on behind the scenes. Not based on anything rational, just pure hope.
Sure.
And that's gone. And that's gone. I thought that maybe the player that we got up front, as opposed to the winger, would have been the player to excite me, particularly back end of last season. Remember that the João Felix stuff came out?
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Top 4 went, and that was done.
Yeah.
So now, really, looking at what's out there, sadly, the players that I think would excite me just don't fit the mould, and they're not realistic given what I've seen Arsenal do in these windows. But I want to be surprised. I want to be surprised. I want to be excited, as Josh said, right? So over to you, Arsenal.
Yeah. Cold Horchata says, hey, Arsenal fan from New York. I just wanted to ask, who would you guys want that would be a huge signing? CR7, Neymar. Okay, I think this is more, though, in an unrealistic world, you can just pick anyone. And I know mine already. And it is just fundamentally Lionel Messi, because I don't care how old he is. I don't care if he's not running and pressing or whatever. Just forget all that. Forget the project. Forget everything. Just to see Lionel Messi in an Arsenal shirt just doing his magic would just be a dream.
So this is not being realistic.
Yeah, this is
not
just,
even saying that we necessarily need him in a position.
No, this is just one play you just want to see in an Arsenal
I've wanted it for years. Every Karim Benzema, bro.
Really?
I went to Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
When Real Madrid banged Chelsea and Benzema got that hat trick. The only reason I went, my Chelsea mate was like, I know you've loved Benzema since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Just come. And I got to see him score that hat-trick live, and I was like, how many years did I picture him in an Arsenal shirt? I know it would never happen, but that guy, I love that classic line play, and he's, on his day, he's unstoppable.
Does everything.
I just love the guy.
Yeah, it's true. Some of the goals he scored in the Champions League run were unbelievable. Shibam, with a comment here, says, United fan here, Arsenal and United not signing world-class players while the top four are signing better players. How will the bridge be covered? Well, as a United fan, you should know more than ever that you guys got second place, having got third the year before. You added Rafael Varane, Jadon Sancho, and Cristiano Ronaldo, and you dropped to sixth. So I'm not even meaning that as a dig. I'm actually meaning that to offer you hope, and to offer hope for Arsenal fans as well. Yeah. It's not always a case of football. So often is about the right blends, the right characters, the right systems. Other coach. Look at Lukaku. Chelsea won the Champions League, got into the top 4, added £100 million Romelu Lukaku. There was no way it could go wrong, and it did.
Yeah, I think what Ten Hag is going to do is what Manchester United have no choice but to do, which is look at the pool of talent they already have, a lot of whom are actually a lot better than they looked last year. People like Rashford, people like Martial.
Yeah.
I still think there's a player in Van der Beek. I mean, they do have something there. They need the manager to bring that out of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, as an Arsenal fan, I hope Ten Hag isn't the guy to do that, but it seems as though he's going to really get the best out of them and tweak it in a couple of areas to get things to fit his system. He couldn't go out and buy those Galacticos again because that's what their fan base is now criticising them for. It's what Gary Neville's very vocal about, right?
Yeah.
They can't keep continuing to do that.
Yeah.
We just started that process a bit earlier.
Yeah, very true. Miles says, forget who Arsenal signing, AFTV needs to sign Sheroy.
You lot are too kind, man. Seriously, you lot have made my weekend just seeing these comments. It means the world. Thank you.
Elijah says, big up, guys.
When are you signing me, though? When's the contract? What's going on there, man?
Well, I need to speak to Robbie.
I'll chat to him afterwards. Let's see what he's saying.
Robbie Kroenke needs to let us know what the funds are looking like, so we'll leave it to him. Elijah says, big up, guys. Love the content today. James, early last season, you questioned if we had a pattern style of play. Do you think there was one by the end of the season? If so, do you see it pushing us up the table? I think it's a great question, Elijah. I actually don't mean this as a criticism. I think I said there was a style of play. It was about whether it was consistent enough, whether we were good enough at it. Sorry to do the whole, listen, it's very easy in hindsight to say this, but I rarely say this kind of thing. But I'd been saying for a while that Arteta was trying to do this Man City light thing, this kind of budget version of Man City, I suppose. So I kind of always knew when everyone's saying, what's the style of play? It's boring, it's slow. I kind of always thought, but if he gets the players in place and it clicks, then it will, it can work. Go bang, as he said once.
So look at the start when we had pretty much our starting 11.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
Partey was still fit.
Yeah.
We were banging in transition.
Yeah,
Partey was cutting 4 players out with the pass. We were very quick to the front 3. We relied on the cutbacks and it was banged in.
Yeah, exactly.
Or if we weren't in transition, we were trying to frustrate them with possession, and Odegaard had a massive part to play in that. I think when we had our starting 11, that was the style he wanted to play. He couldn't necessarily do that with the width once he lost Tomiyasu, once he lost Tierney.
Very true.
And that's where we got found out. He couldn't do it when Partey was injured because the guy's a Rolls Royce in there. And I think that's also vindicated by the signings like Vieira in positions where we didn't think we needed him. That's the sort of player that can fit exactly into the frustration mould and the quick and transition mould. You know?
And while our kind of style of play started to fall away towards the end of the season, we became more resilient, you know, just getting over the line against West Ham, you know, kind of going punch for punch with Chelsea, and actually we looked far less controlled. I think don't take away what players like Tomiyasu and Tierney as the fullbacks bring to that. I know it's easy to think, well, it's just a right back or it's just a left back, but so much of how well you can attack is illustrated, or that's not the word, it's let's just say it's helped, that's not a big word, it's helped by having a really solid base behind you. You press better because you know who's recovering in case you miss the press.
It's predicated upon having that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually predicated upon having that.
Exactly.
And we could not do that. Absolutely no disrespect to players like Nuno Tavares. Infinitely better at this sport than I could ever be, right?
Yeah, very true.
But when we beat Chelsea and when we beat United, how many goals did we have to score in each of those games to do that?
I know.
Because we just didn't have that base. And that was kind of edge of your seat, heart palpitations football.
Yeah.
That's not what Arteta wants.
No, it's not at all. You're absolutely right, which is why players like Zinchenko are being looked at. Guys, a massive thank you for all the comments that have been coming in. Some real love and support for everything, and for Shiroi as well, who's been absolutely fantastic. Just a reminder of all the news. So Hutchinson has confirmed his move to, well, he's not confirmed. It has been confirmed in the media. He'll be moving to sorry, I was going through the outro and PT says, let me guess, James, quote marks, that's a really good point.
He's just polite, man. Even when he disagrees, he's super polite as well.
Shiroi's got me going, shit, I didn't think of it like that. You threw me off my intro. Thank you to Guna Vettels, thank you us as well. Right, I'm not going to look at the comments anymore for a sec. Hutchinson is going to Chelsea, real shame, but let us know in the comment section what you make of all that. Zinchenko, I mean, it's moving along. It's picked up real pace. Every media outlet is drip feeding us a little bit of information, you know, every hour, every couple hours, stuff is going. Blaze says, let's go Gunners, which I absolutely love. Yard says, thanks and big up Shiroi. Shiroi is fantastic. Rad says, Trossard would be a great addition. Big Z says, big up. So big thanks to all of you. Big up to you lads from Joey as well. Appreciate that as well. Galivia's one little bit that I wasn't able to talk about earlier, and it's not exactly, we've discussed it anyway, but go check out James McNicholas, but under his Gunner blog Twitter account, obviously a journalist for The Athletic, and he does stuff with Arseblog and stuff. But he kind of wrote an interesting article, and I had to skim read it before kind of jumping on this, but talking about how we moved into Plan B of the transfer window now. Worth having a little look, because it definitely feels like things are picking up with Romano talking about the winger, the Zinchenko stuff happening quickly. Obviously we missed out on Rafinha and Alessandro Martinez, the first targets. It does feel like, okay, Plan B. We couldn't get Plan A. Fair enough to Arsenal for trying. If you get your Plan Bs and they're of the quality we're hearing, I'm cool with that.
Kind of Plan C though, isn't it? Because Plan A would have been the players we went for if we got top four. Plan B were then the first batch of players that we went for in this window. We're now going for Plan C. Let's not take the piss, yeah? That's where we are. I'd still be more than happy if we get in players of the calibre of Tielemans, Zinchenko, don't get me wrong. But that certainly wouldn't have been our Plan A. And I think that's fair.
It is. We don't have a whole... I'd love to talk about this more, but I feel like... Okay, maybe no.
Edu and Arteta came out and said, we have alternatives for whether we do or not don't make top four, which implies that the players that we're going for now that we're not in the top four are not necessarily all the players that we would have gone for.
So do you think there would have been players above Rafinha, Martinez, Jesus that we'd have gone for if we got top four?
I think people like Gnabry could have been slightly more attainable. I think maybe we would have just gone... 90, 100 mil, let's try and get João Felix. Who knows, mate? If they got top four, they would have realised that they snuck in through the back door and they're not going to have another opportunity to make this project go bang. Because then clubs like Newcastle are going to be on you. Then Conte might have a bit more time. Then United might fix up. That would have been the opportunity to really go hell for leather. They don't have that now. They have to be a bit more prudent. And I hope that they are prudent enough to get us over the line this year.
That's really interesting. Let us know in the comment section what you make of that, because that... yeah, that's got me thinking. I kind of thought we'd started this summer by going for our first choices anyway, and actually have just been knocked back on a few of them. But yeah, really, yeah. I was about to say really. Never mind. I was about to say what I say too much.
The comments have got in your head now.
Yeah, they really have. Chris says, "Big up, James and Shiroi, thank you." Indeed, with the final super chat says Charles Watts says Zinchenko might play the Xhaka position. That's what I would expect, and I have actually discussed that in a Transfer Daily extra that is coming out tomorrow. So look out for that. All round Zinchenko. We had another one recorded. There's a little bit. I shouldn't be retaining this. We had another one recorded, but the Zinchenko stuff has basically made the rest of it redundant. So it's just kind of classic. That is the world we live in. But that is the world that Dave Jordan says, that's a really good point. I hate you all. I don't know if you take the piss out of me or if you just really like what Rory's saying. We're going to end it there. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And we'll see you next time.